Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, bringing you the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. We're going to get into the Avs top, well, not the Avs, I guess, kind of our top 10 NHL draft list. It's a little bit messy because it's sort of us pretending to be the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's sort of us just showing you how the arguments for putting a draft list together work. But that's what we're mostly going to get into today. A couple of news bits that I wanted to get to first, though. Our friends over at CHGO are also talking about this today. But some of the news came out with Cap Friendly getting purchased by the Washington Capitals and the site ultimately going down. Can the NHL stop shooting itself in the foot when it comes to PR and telling their own fans that they're stupid?
No. That's kind of their shtick.
Why? It's not that hard. It's not that hard to respect your fans and want to build a bigger fan base. And I guess I don't understand where the NHL is coming from when they say, we don't want these tools to be available to the average hockey fan.
I'll go first because I'm not, honestly, I still don't understand. I still don't understand. If it was up for sale, then did people know it was up for sale? Like, including the league? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really don't know the whole story, you know? And I know Washington purchased it. It's going black, you know, whatever, silent, whatever you want to call that, dormant. But they'll have access to it, obviously, right?
The Capitals will.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. I mean, again, I read about it. I don't understand because the salaries have been public. Again, I always say I'm old. I'm old because you got to remember 1992 when I joined the league. When I signed right in the middle, right before playoffs, like in whatever, after my college season in March, and it was a strike. Not a lockout. It was a strike right before playoffs. And to be honest with you, that lockout there, all of a sudden, all the salaries became, you know, public, and it was disclosed. It was before that it wasn't. You had to go and ask, like, and guys was weird in the locker room because you didn't know how much the guy made, but you kind of would hint at it, like, where are you at? You know what I mean? It was the weirdest thing, you know, and then it became public. And then part of the reason why the salaries went like that since 1992 is when they disclosed salaries. It is. And agents would talk to one another and say, well, how much does AJ really make?
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And then, can you be fair with me, be honest? You know, I mean, it was crazy. Like, it was, you didn't know. You had no idea. And it was crazy because my dad went through that with his biggest client, Mike Bossy, right? You know what I mean? And it was like, and Gretz was going the same thing, and his dad was calling my dad and asking, like, how much does Bossy really make? You know what I mean? And then how much do you make? I mean, and then we like back and forth, like, is that how you're paid, or is it deferred money? What is it? What is the real deal? So people didn't know. It was crazy. And then I think that since then, everyone's known what the salaries are. It's part of being a professional hockey player. It just, everyone knows you go to the game. If you really want to know how much a guy makes, there's a way to find out, right?
Yep.
So now I think there'll still be a way to find out. So it's not like you're saying Puckpedia or whatever it is. Like you can. I mean there's still on a way.
Sport Track has.
I mean, I think it's pretty
too,
simple, like to see where. So I'm not too sure what the reasoning was or the comments from the league were. You know what I mean about like, oh, these shouldn't be made public, and I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm just kind of blah on it. You know what I mean? But I just think it was such a good.
It's crazy to me that an NHL team has purchased that website and the NHL as a league hasn't gone, great, we should make our own version of this. Because how many fans just sit on that site and do roster construction or make up trade? And I know the comment section is a place you should probably stay out of on that website. But
Jets decline.
But what was it the other day? What was it before this one? Remember that the one?
It was Cap Geek.
Cap Geek, yeah. And then it got purchased by.
Well, the owner died.
The owner died.
And
then, that's right.
Yeah.
My apologies. But yeah, I mean, there'll be something else. I mean, it's just, you know.
There will be. It's just weird that instead of encouraging this and the NHL helping grow its fan base and having its fan base learn, that they're actively like, we don't like these sites and we don't want them to be public. I just don't understand it. from that side from the business side.
I mean, how many times does the NHL do stuff where we all just kind of go, why?
Yeah.
Like, what is the deal here? Why?
Yep.
There's a reason, there's a reason, right? I don't know whether it's right or wrong. There's got to be a reason, right?
I'm a big believer that it's probably a shitty reason because it's the NHL.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm saying they got their reason, right? Whether it's right or wrong,
It's like telling a child not to touch the hot stove, though, because now I think a lot of more people are interested in knowing the players' contracts. I think this just drew more attention to the information that the NHL didn't want us to know, and I think that it creates a demand. Like the existing sites that are out there, I think they lean into this resource, become a bit more advanced, and
I hope so.
I don't think this will go the way that the NHL had hoped. I think there will be now a rising interest that was already there, obviously.
Yep.
It's the Barbara Streisand effect.
Exactly right.
Don't look at this thing. Great.
Let's
I will
all
spend
go
all
look
day
at
at this thing.
Now I want to create a website that will provide even more information.
I mean, shit, we should stop.
Blood type.
We should stop doing this. We
Salaries.
should make it.
Just make this website and
Yeah,
then
and
get the
then
bag from an NHL team when they want to buy all your
We'll
tools.
sell
apparently.
the API to the Avs, and then we'll come back on the pod and be like, cool.
We did it.
But I don't remember when I was playing, let's say in the 90s, and, salaries were made, they were disclosed.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
the
remember
internet wasn't what the internet
I
is
understand.
now, so it's just
But
not.
I mean, if we wanted to know, like we had access to it with the PA. I mean, like I'm just saying, like, and even in the papers, I remember saying it was in there. I mean, God, the whole playoffs you've seen saving Sakic. I mean, that's, you knew exactly what the contract was. I mean, I know it's Joe, and I know it was a big story, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was public.
Yeah.
Maybe not into a nice site.
I mean,
like,
all these contracts are still going to be public. Like, there's still Friedman's still going to be on Twitter saying it's a 6x4.7 or whatever every single time somebody signs.
It is nice having that. It's such a thorough central database for it, though.
Yep.
Because it's not just contracts like, oh, here's the information, years and AAV and salary cap, but it's the CBA explanations of.
This is exactly how waiver eligibility works.
Yeah, like here's your waiver calculator.
If you sign at age 22,
here's your qualifying offer calculator. Here's, they recently had added the state income tax calculator so that you could see, okay, what does it actually look like? What do guys actually make? What is their take home if they play in this city versus this city? So we could have that information and get into that. It's such a thorough resource.
Yep.
It just sucks now that we won't have that. Like Puckpedia, I've used Puckpedia for a long time.
Sure, it's fine.
Yeah, it has a long way to go to reach the level of in-depth resources that we could access that Cap Friendly had.
Exactly. And, I'm sure Puckpedia or someone else will get there over the next couple of years, but...
Surprised? I'm not surprised. Wondering what the numbers are the last couple of days on Puckpedia. Is it really?
I'm sure they're doing great right now. Yeah. The other main point of news, which is kind of breaking a little bit over the last hour, the Avs director of amateur scouting, Wade Klippenstein, will be moving on after the draft and joining Notre Dame to be their director of hockey player development. In the immediate, it doesn't really affect anything. Like I said, he's staying with the Avs for this draft, so it will still be him at the head of that table. But a guy who had been with the Avs for a good little while and moved into that amateur scouting head role only a handful of years ago. As he moves on, the Avs will be moving on to their fourth director of head scouting in the past decade. I don't really know what to make of that. I'm sure Wade is getting what he wants in this move, so happy for the guy himself, but we'll see another regime change when it comes to amateur scouting for the Avs.
It is interesting. Just, I wonder if he was just like, look, I'm working for an organization that's not giving me picks.
Rolling into a draft with a 6th and a 7th, and it's
like we're doing all this work every year, and I get to make one first-round pick, sit around for
don't have
100 plus picks
ever. Yeah.
And then once we get into the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, then maybe I get to do something, and this is what I'm going to be judged on. This is the body of work that I'm putting out there. Like there are 32 of these jobs. It's like a GM job, right? Like this is an important job. There's only 32 of them. Teams people are always gonna want that job because it's, when it comes to the draft, it's that top job.
Yep.
And a lot of guys use that if they have a good track record. They use that to take that leap into an AGM spot or eventually a GM spot. But I do think it's interesting that he's just like,
I'm done with this.
I'm going to go be the director of player development at Notre Dame.
Yep. I don't know.
I'm always curious when people choose to live in Indiana. So it's no, obviously
is that where
no.
he's going? He's going Notre Dame. How?
Yeah. No animus or anything. It's just I would love to ask Clip why. I find that curious.
Question to ask.
as far as the timing goes, though, I don't think this is the time of year when those changes get made. Those contracts run out at the end of the hockey season, the hockey calendar. This is when all those changes get made. So it's very normal. It was way more abnormal when the Avs and Heppel parted ways, like right at the start of the year when they did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I think Pracey was the same thing where it was like,
It was pretty abrupt.
yeah, and it was at a weird time in the hockey calendar where you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is
Brace
up with this?
Head guy in Edmonton, though.
So
Apple's head for pro scouting for Arizona, or he
Arizona.
was, I guess, Utah now. Yeah.
yeah, and he went to Philly too. Pracey, he went to Philly,
He went to Philly, and then
Yeah.
now he's head of Edmonton. Yep.
so we don't have to worry about that for a while.
Yeah, Notre Dame Hounds. Notre Dame Hounds, juniors.
Okay,
Junior A ice hockey. Saskatchewan.
okay, this makes more sense
Here's what I think, not to...
as a Western hockey guy.
Yeah. So here's
Because
what
he
I'm
was
thinking.
he was at Brandon before
Yeah.
he joined the Avs. All right, this
so
makes more sense.
my thing is more, again, not having talked to anybody, we just, saw this news like
Yeah.
everybody else when...
As we
And
were
I
going
agree. It's a
live.
good point by you. I'm not downplaying your point. I think it's more. It changed. Listen, I said it last week. I'll say it again. Amateur scouting is dirty. Like when I say dirty, it's hard freaking. It's naughty work, and it's a grind. And these guys love it. But I'm not saying Clip didn't like it. I'm saying it looks like it's a change of style for what suits him better as a family. You know what I mean? Like that's what it looks like to me. First, but without talking to anybody, I'm just talking out of my head right now. That's what it looks like to me. I think it was a quality of life choice, less traveling, different. Notre Dame Hounds, which is a very historic junior franchise. Guys like Vinny LeCavalier played there. Giving you examples. I think it's more like centralized for him. Maybe it works best for his family and him. That's what it sounds like, maybe. So that's why when you said Indiana, I was like, did I read this right? You know what I mean? Like, because you were thinking college hockey.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, yeah. Notre Dame Hounds,
Yeah.
junior A, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, who knows? And again, I'm not saying you weren't right with that point. Maybe you are right. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't talked to him. But there could be also the possibility of...
I mean, from the outside, it doesn't look like a very fun job.
Nope.
Listen, those guys love it, and it's an art. I'll say
I
it
mean
again.
specifically running the Avs.
Oh,
knowing
sorry.
that you're putting a huge body of work in there and you may
To
not get to
maybe
do
Well, it can
anything.
be
One
frustrating.
first-round
It can be
pick, yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
I've told you guys that before. And I've seen it, and then there's always a little bit of fights with the pro side too, because the pro sides are always like, trade the pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, and then it becomes a little bit of point of fighting when you get to dinner that once or twice a year when you're all together. That's why I still love the draft, because you're all together. And,
Yeah.
hopefully they'll find ways to get the staff together. All those teams always, amateur, pro, mix in and understand each other's sides. But yeah, I mean, it's, he'll do his draft, and I'm sure there's a succession plan in place. And if not, then, Chris will be probably meeting some people next week, right? Over there. So
They don't need a succession plan. Just watch our show. We got it covered.
Yeah.
I agree. Buddy, I'm not joking. I agree.
I really liked working with Klippenstein for what it's
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah, me too.
I think that people have been critical of the Avs prospect pool and drafting for a little bit now, but I want to set the record straight on his body of work specifically, and it's a little premature to really evaluate what that looks like, but he comes in the Oscar Olausson draft. So we're looking at Sean Barons, which we're already kind of excited about. Olausson was always an intriguing pick. Like, it makes sense what they were looking for there, and he's still so young, as we established in the prospect pod where we didn't get to talk about Olausson and Foodie very long. And then last year, I really thought they knocked it out of the park. Like, obviously, we love Guliev and Ritchie, but Hansel was used as an asset to acquire Yakov Trenin. And Jedlička, there's still some upside there that we're excited about, and we did get to talk about that a little bit in the prospect pod. So I just wanted to shout out Klippenstein and the work that he did, even though, you know, some of this we're going to learn more about over time to include whatever happens at this year's draft. But he loved talking about prospects. It was really nice picking his brain and talking with him about that side of the Avs' depth.
It's an especially tough job coming in right in the middle of
Cup time.
the pandemics.
Oh, sure.
The pandemic draft classes where development got screwed up for years for those guys.
Yeah.
Everybody was at different levels. The score was different for everybody involved. He has very few picks to work with, and then all of a sudden, make it happen. Like, that's a tough ask for him, and that's that whole staff.
But good man, because I missed him. I left and he came in, so I was never with him. But friend of the show, listens to the show. So if he's listening, good luck to Clip. You know what I mean? Always been great to us.
Yeah,
and
come back on the show.
Yeah, we will. We'll
Now that you're not going to be part of the Avs anymore, you can tell us all the secrets.
Or just come hang out.
Hey, hopefully it's a great decision for him, and a good family.
Wish him
decision.
nothing but the best for sure.
Absolutely.
Taylor McCarr.
All right. On that note, we are going to get into looking on some prospects. So when you're looking into the bright future, make sure you've got your Shady Rays on. Get over to shadyrays.com. Our listeners are getting a special offer. Use code DNVR to get 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses over at Shady Rays. Tons of different options for them, hundreds really. And you can get the shades that have been rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, a pair for everybody. We all have pairs, and we all love our Shady Rays when it comes to trying to protect our eyeballs from the sun. Usually a pretty good thing to do if you like having vision. So
I have mine.
Look at that. He's
Actually,
got
have mine
there.
today.
He actually brought them.
I wore them.
And did just leave them in the car for once.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was really bright out. I was in a hurry.
Make sure you go get your Shady Rays. The best part is you might as well try them, because the first 30 days, their return policy, if you break them, don't like them, or lose them, they'll replace them completely for free within the first 30 days. So go get in there. They're also, they won't break the bank like some crazy brands out there. They are affordable sunglasses. Go get in with our exclusive offer on that DNVR code to get 35% off your polarized sunglasses, and just try yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And once you've got your Shady Rays on, make sure you're seeing the future correctly to get your bets in on ClutchBet. Go join the sports book with the most unique Colorado bets out there, whether it be the Avs, the Nuggets, the Broncos, the Rockies, or even the Rapids. You can get your bets in on Colorado sports. And even for those teams like the Avs that are eliminated, they offer great opportunities in the NHL right now. Insurance on all first goal scorer bets and parlays for the Cup final. So go jump in on that. Go bet all your money on someone from Florida to score first in Game 3, because Florida's winning this thing. They're already up 2-0. It's the time has come. Go get in on it with ClutchBet, whatever you might be interested in. And, of course, keep your eyes peeled for all of those opportunities with the Rockies, Broncos, Avs, and Nuggets with ClutchBet. Tons of other options as well, including when you sign up with the code DNVR250, you get a $250 first bet match and bonus bets paid over your first 5 weeks. So download that ClutchBet Sportsbook app with that DNVR250 code today. And get in on all of your Denver sports betting. Of course, you must be 21 or older, located in the state of Colorado. Gamble responsibly, and call 1-800-GAMBLER if you or someone you know needs help. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Getting back into our actual prospect list. We did a little bit of this last week. We argued our lists. We came up with a top 5 list that was, of course, Macklin Celebrini at the top. And then we had, I believe, Ivan Demidov at 2, Cade Lindstrom at 3, Zeev Buium at 4, and AJ, being our head scout, demanded we have Perek at 5.
Goddamn right I did.
So that's our top 5 list. Now, keep in mind, this list is a little wonky. We kind of pretended we were the Columbus Blue Jackets picking 4th overall to build a list as an organization. But we're going to round out the next 5 to put our top 10 list together today.
The Columbus portion of this was especially pertinent for the top 5.
Yeah.
After this, we can just fight about it now.
Who do we have at 2?
Demidov. And then Lindstrom was 3. And then Zeev. And then Perek.
Interesting.
While Eric is filling in our list.
I did pass 3rd grade, I promise.
Yeah, you passed 3rd grade in French, buddy.
How do you spell Z? Like this?
No, yeah, you got it.
Oof.
No, you almost got it.
Now
I
it's
almost did.
Zeev.
Oh, there's no
That's-
I?
Just leave it. It's fine.
Yeah. Part of the flair. And then Perek was what? Like,
Parekh.
K-H.
got that one.
There you go. Spelled that one right this time.
I like
so.
that your handwriting got a little bit better as it went along, too. That's fun.
Yeah.
Like I said.
What happened to the M in Mac? Anyway.
Oh, it's
31
not there.
teams saying, "Ack, he gets to play for somebody else."
Yep. So we are at number 6 on our list for arguments. I'm
I gotta
curious.
go to my list. Hold on.
I'm curious. Obviously, this is a combined list, so some of us might have guys higher on their list than number 6 still on there. I know Megan and I
Yeah.
are going to
Oh,
be pushing for Lev Shinov in this
Shinov.
spot, but our head scout hates Lev Shinov, so
Yeah, he's not in my top 10.
I gotta like, hold on. I gotta go to my list.
For what it's worth,
I wasn't ready.
Perek at 5 really grew on me. I feel a lot more comfortable with it there now.
no, I'm the dude at the table shaking my head when we make that pick. Not that I don't like Perek, but it's just too high for him.
You're the dude getting ignored at the table on draft day.
That's okay. I'll go work.
On that pick.
I'll go work for Notre Dame instead.
I was gonna say you could just work for the Avs. You won't be doing
defenseman
anything.
bias that I need to check in with myself on, though. Like, just wanting all of the defensemen in the top 10 feels a bit dramatic.
I don't know.
for me.
I think that's kind of true of the NHL, though. Like, we talked about this the other week. Corey Pronman has 6 defensemen in his top 10. Every year, people go in, and some defenseman always jumps into the top 10. So the reality of the value of defensemen in the draft is just that high.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were saying Levchinov, right?
Us two are
No,
saying
he
Lev
doesn't
Shinov.
like him.
Yeah,
The
he
head
doesn't like
Clip.
him.
Clip Jr. don't like him.
Clip Jr.
Yeah. Look, call me C-Mac.
Hold on, I've just got these up for the spelling, so I don't want to get killed on the chat with the spelling. No, I had him a little lower though. Levchinov, I had him like a 9-ish.
With
You know.
Lev Shinov, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit last week, though, is that really good size, great production as a D-1 in the USHL, great production as a freshman in the NCAA, and was really, really good on not a traditional powerhouse program in Michigan State. There's so much to like. You like the tools are all there, great size, wonderful mobility. He's got a little bit of bite to his game. That physicality exists. He's got skill. There are things to love about his game. Me being the hater here, my problem is that I don't buy the idea that he'll put it together on a consistent enough basis for him to be a top pairing defenseman. And I do buy that on some of the guys that are on the board. And that's... If there weren't a couple of these other guys hanging around, I might be a little more inclined. But I just like the other guys better. I either like the things that they do really well, I like more, or I like their consistency. I like the I like the game to game. What I get game to game out of those guys.
Sure.
And with Levchinov, when he disappears, he really, everybody has bad games. He had too many of them for me.
So you had Levchinov, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. That's the right pronunciation. And then Hedgehog don't like him. What do you have him at?
I just have him out of the top 10. I didn't keep ranking
you
out
don't even
after
have
that.
him.
Yeah.
Well, there might have to be some big decisions here. You know what I mean?
I feel like 6'2" defenseman, as quick and explosive as he is, don't grow on trees. And I think an inconsistent freshman year doesn't really shock me. I think there's a learning curve for most freshmen in the NCAA. And because of the program he was in, I think he was afforded more responsibility as a freshman than you might normally see defensemen get their first year in a program that it doesn't really surprise me. It's something that I feel like the sophomore season will be the biggest tell. And I'm just, because of the other tools you do mention, AJ, it's hard for me to be too low on him. I can't keep him outside of the top 10. I'm willing to put him lower in the top 10, but I don't want to keep him out of it entirely.
I just don't want to punish a guy playing in college against older players as opposed to someone like Sam Dickinson, who I also have on my list, by the way, who I actually see as pretty similar to Levchinov, but he's playing in juniors against kids where some of that consistency is easier to find because he's not getting up against guys who are fully built out every single night and things like that.
Okay,
no, go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I was just going to say, that's what makes the draft so complex, right? And that's why I say it's an art. Because you're always looking to see, well, he's playing against those players. And we talked about the high schoolers or whatever. They're playing against those players. And then that's where the arguments come into play, right? Because it's like, well, look at the competition he's playing against. And yes, you know what I mean? But that's where it's always projection. Because now you got to project them to be all playing against one another and playing against NHLers. And that's what the draft is. And that's why it's such a freaking science, because it is. And that's why I say guys that have done it a long time always in their minds go back to their own comparisons of what they became, and what they were when they picked them and what they became and compare to their peer groups and how, so experience comes in handy, you know what I mean, for those guys. Because like I said, amateur scouting is a beast in itself. But a guy like that is exactly what you guys all touched up on. He's playing against freaking men. Dickinson is playing against teenagers, right? You know what I mean? So then it's like, but the one thing about him too, though, it did sound like he did a good job last week at the combine and, personable and just kind of mixed in and, which is nice. You get to learn a little bit about those, types of players, you know what I mean? And he's talking about his Uber rating and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was cool. I thought as, didn't make him slip the 5 for me, but I do have him in the top 10, just not a 5.
What if we get through 6 and 7 and revisit him for 8 through 10?
We can revisit him at 7. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm not drawing like a hard line in the sand.
I don't know who your next person is, but I am high on Dickinson too. So I'm willing to change the conversation to who you did have at 6.
This is going to be unpopular.
He's going to have someone crazy.
No, my 6 is Carter Yakemchuk.
Yeah.
And what I like is that dude is just a rocket.
He can fly.
He's an exceptional offensive defenseman, but he's also extremely competitive. Now,
he's mean.
Is he really good defensively? No. But if there is one thing that we have seen consistently over the last 10 years of the draft, you take high-end offensive defensemen and teach them how to play defense. You don't take defensemen and try and teach them how to play offense. You can either do that at a really high level, because that's the stuff that is consistently translated. You teach them how to play certain levels of defense. And then you don't take the guys whose attributes is defense first above the other guys. That's not Levchinov. Levchinov's I would categorize him as an all-around guy.
Same.
He's not a defense first guy. He's got plenty of offense in the bag. I just think that Yakemchuk is an absolute dynamo offensively, and he's a mean little bastard. And that I call him little. He's not little. He has good size.
Young.
Yeah, and he's
young best.
He is young. He's very raw still. It's going to take some time. I'm willing to wait 2 or 3 years for him more than I am 1 year for Levshinov.
Well, your point is a little bit like, we'll get to him, but Yzerman, remember we were talking about that yesterday with Ryan, like, hard to leave goals on the table. You know what I mean? And I go back to Craig Button's dad talking to, picking Mike Bossy with the Islanders, and it's more like he went to Al Arbor, the coach at the time. He said, did we pick the goal scorer, like as pure as it gets, or do we take the all-around guy that can score 20 and that can check? And Al Arbor was like, give me the goal scorer. Yeah. I can teach checking. I can't teach goal scoring. And it's a little bit that what you
exactly
were saying as a defenseman. I understand your point.
You can teach checking unless you can't teach checking to that guy.
Well, no, but then it comes down to
but
willingness to do it, right? You know what I mean? But
you can't teach a guy to score a goal or play any kind of offense.
You can't teach scoring.
And which one of these? You have to score goals to win in the NHL.
I understand that. You're going to see that in the bottom of my list.
You have to.
You can make a 50-goal scorer, a 10-goal scorer. Absolutely, that's like coaching, and you know what I mean. Like you put them on I always say the shit ice, but you can't make a 10-goal scorer, a 50-goal scorer. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. I mean, John LeClaire back then, Montreal Canadiens gets traded to Philly and it becomes a 50-goal scorer. But hey, that's not a normal.
Playing next to Eric Lindros helps.
Yeah.
My problem for our list with this is you already have Perek at 5.
Okay.
And
so at least my list is consistent in the guys that I'm valuing.
You are certainly consistent in what you like, but to me,
and it's a great draft class for that.
Either Perek is there at whatever pick we're at, or you're reaching for Yakimchuk to get a similar guy who's not as good as Perek at the same things.
I don't care about them being in relation to one another. I just think that Yakimchuk, I value him more highly than everybody else left on the board.
I don't.
That's where I am with it. I'm okay losing this one.
So who do we have at 6?
At the moment, nobody.
Dickinson?
Yeah. I had him out of my top 10, but he was close. He was my 13, Yakimchuk, that is. And he has that edge to his game that I think would appeal to a lot of old school hockey types, and I think there's a lot of those in the NHL that want that mean streak, especially in such a young player, that undeniable physical presence. It's a willingness that not every player has. It's just the defensive game is a little rough. And look, we're talking about Levshinov. That's kind of a criticism of him too, that I don't want to be unfair. It's just a little rough with Yakimchuk. And I don't know. Who do you have?
I have Levshinov, and then I have Dickinson.
Yeah, I have Dickinson.
I have Dickinson kind of next in line.
For me, Dickinson is the best all-around skating defenseman in the class. That alone is enough for me to see how it's pretty easy for him to get into the NHL and be a guy. He's great both directions on the rush. He has offensive ability to make that first pass. He's a really, really, really easy guy to project to the NHL level. His biggest problem is I don't know if he has the secondary hockey sense. He plays super instinctually, and his first move is usually pretty good. And then what? He can use his feet to beat that first guy, and then what? He gets a little bit lost sometimes. Don't love that.
He reminds me a little bit of, I think he's a worse version of Jake Sanderson.
Sure.
And I think he has also, for me, he's also the victim of a really good defenseman class.
That's definitely true.
And that's where there are other guys with other skill sets that I just value more highly than what he does. And I'm just for Dickinson again. I didn't continue on my list beyond 10 because I don't think we'll get deep enough into it for it to matter.
I'm sure you have 4 defensemen from 10 to 20.
Yeah, it might have even been more than that, man.
Sure.
Like all these guys that I'm like, they're out of my top 10. They're going to be like 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Like they would be there. They're all there. They all have their merits. I'm not like, I think the only highly rated defenseman that I'm truly down on is Anton Silyev.
Boo.
That's the only one that I'm just like, you're just taking Nikita Zadorov in the top 10, and I'm not about that. So, you know, when it comes to Dickinson, great size, great mobility. The athleticism really jumps.
Dude's combine numbers are wild.
Yeah, he's a fantastic athlete, and all of that is obvious. There's plenty of potential there. I'm just not meh. I'm just very meh.
Only thing that scares me on Dickinson is what you said, the first step there. It's easy to beat a guy in juniors on the first step.
For sure.
How much more is he going to get better at his first step? You know what I mean? To play against Nathan McKinnon, I'm just saying, the NHL is a beast. You know what I mean? And if that's your quality, you know what I mean? Like, oof. You know what I mean? Like, it can be taken away quickly when you get on those different leagues, you know?
Well, especially when you look at the other guys in this draft class. There are so many fantastic skating defensemen. Dickinson has to go and try and beat those guys. That's his trick. And I'm less convinced that he can do that.
I still like him. I was just raising Rudo's point. Yeah.
What I like about him and why he's in this spot is similar to why I really elevated Buyum in this list, and it was getting to see him in the quest for the Memorial Cup on a dominant London Knights team.
Yep.
Like, getting to see these players when those stage lights are brighter in postseason moments, I think is what I value in a future NHL player. And
he had a
that's
great playoff run, for sure.
Dickinson gets some added value in my eyes.
It definitely rises your stock. It does when you have a great playoff. It does. I mean, because then they see you in those crucial situations, and they're like, okay, he can elevate his game. You know what I mean?
A thing that Levshinov did not do.
I agree.
And a thing that Buyum did, which is another reason why we put him where we
as
did.
high as we did.
Yeah.
Twice, right? Yeah, World Juniors
Yep.
Yeah.
title game.
Yeah. I mean, Zeev for me was just a straight line up, and that's why he ended up where he did on our list. Where we were all very similarly ranked on Zeev of like, the guy's great.
Yep.
And you know what? Like, maybe I'll admit maybe I've overvalued him, but I have at least reasons I can point to for why.
Yeah, I don't. With Zeev, I have fewer question marks about everything that he does and how it will translate than I do some of the other guys.
Yeah, it feels more well-rounded, just with room to improve, but it like exists. There's a foundation there for him to build upon.
Yeah.
But people want winners. We talked about that the other day. People want winners. I'm convinced he was outside the first round last summer. He was outside the first round. And then as you go to DU games earlier in the season, all of a sudden you saw more and more NHL teams represented. And I told you guys, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, there's Buyum guy, you know? Next thing you know, he's in the top 25. Next thing you know, he's in the top 15. Next thing you know, he's going top 5.
We got to pick a player.
I'll give you guys Levshinov. It's fine.
I'm good with that.
This took a turn.
Good, I got to look at my list.
I really
We just beat down our head scout enough until he said, fine, put Levshinov there.
I got to go back just so for spelling.
I really thought we were landing on Dickinson.
While we're putting Levshinov on the list, make sure you're go getting your snacks for draft day over at Circle K. You can jump in with Circle K's Inner Circle Rewards to get amazing rewards every single day, including when you first sign up. 5 fill-ups for 25 cents off a gallon at the pump. So go get that at the very least. And then you can also sign up and get a bunch of free stuff when it comes to their snacks, including things like Polar Pops, which you can get for 69 cents every single day with Inner Circle Rewards. And you can also, for most items, buy 5, get a 6th one free. So make sure you use that QR code on screen to become part of Circle K's Inner Circle Rewards. Get with them today and enjoy all of the great snacks over at Circle K. You gotta stop in on game day or draft day or whatever it is with Circle K. And once you've got your Circle K snacks, make sure you're taking care of your money too when it comes to Westera Credit Union. They've been here in Colorado for 90 years, so they've been doing it for a very long time in the Denver metro area. They have 9 different locations for you to visit in the area, and they're all about helping members financially prosper. They just launched a new product called their Smart Money Checking. It's a checking account designed to help you earn unheard of interest on smaller balances, starting off with 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. And there's opportunities as your balance grows for potential to unlock a bunch of additional great rates for higher balances. On top of all of that, they also have a rewards debit card, which has no monthly or maintenance fees to get you earning even more. And there's even more you can get when it comes to Westera, founded by 8 teachers, so helping others is in their DNA. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply. All right, third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Lev Shinov going in at 6.
He's getting confident with the iPad.
Just to spite AJ. We have arguments for Dickinson. We have an argument for Yakimchuk. Do we have any other arguments at 7? Because
I have Iginla at 7.
I have forwards as well, but I have Yzerman ahead of Iginla.
I have Yzerman at 8, so I don't have a lot of separation between them.
Sorry. My note here for Berkeley.
I have
Troy
him
Terry
as well.
So
nice.
So there's a little bias there, but I have Iginla and Yzerman right there as well. So I'm willing to hear those arguments before I start.
I also have Catton at 9.
Okay.
I have Catton right there as well.
They're like all three kind of in this similar tier of me liking them there, which is why with Yakimchuk, like, can we revisit him after we talk about
it's fine.
These 3 guys?
Yeah.
We're all sitting on these 3 forwards, so
the goal scorers of the draft.
Well, I think that's probably where we go next.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Cole Yzerman in there. Like, for me, we talked about it. I just said it 5 minutes ago. Like, goal scoring, you can't teach that. You know, he's a good kid. He wants to get better. Is he perfect the last 2 years? No. Was he perfect at shooting the puck? Yes. You know, but on the outside, and that's where I say the more if you don't want to take him, you're going to nitpick his game. And when I say that, it's just, he's not good defensively, and he's not this. And, you know, the kid's young. He's raw. He's learned a lot the last years. And if you talk to Ryan yesterday, he'll tell you that he was here 2 years ago, and he's here now on his defensive side of the games, or his game away from the puck. Is it perfect? No. A lot to learn still. But for me, he's the most pure goal scorer in the draft, so that's why I got him ahead. Then I got Iginla. I like the bloodlines, I'm not going to lie. But I like his ascension. And again, look at his playoffs. He was outstanding in the playoffs. People want that. They want to see, because the goal at the start of the year, you want to win the last game. And the last game's played in the playoffs. It's not game 82. You know what I mean? It's just not. You know what I mean? So you want to win the last game. I like the bloodlines, and then I'll go with Captain. Whatever, 3. You know, if we're talking about those 3 forwards. You know what I mean? I'll go Cole, Iginla, Cat.
My problem with Yzerman is he could be the guy scoring you that game-winning goal in that big game. He could also be the dude standing at center ice as you lose the game. I think when you look beyond, one of the best shooters in the class, no doubt, probably the best pure goal scorer.
I think that's, yes.
Has a very good ability in the offensive zone. He can find the soft ice. He understands how to get himself in position to score those goals. The problem is everything else. The defensive zone is almost a complete mystery to him as far as I'm concerned. He's not really a great dual threat in the offensive zone. His passing isn't that good. And the biggest thing is he's not a huge guy, but he's 6 foot, almost 200 pounds. If the dude could turn the lights on and keep him on, easy to see how he's an elite goal-scoring power forward at the next level. But can you get him there? I don't know.
Yeah, I have Iginla at the head of these 3 because I think he's the most well-rounded, and I also think he's got an element of safety in picking him, where I'm not worried that Iginla's going to be in the NHL.
Agree.
And with Yzerman, you know, every year we talk about some really good goal scorers in draft classes that don't become really good NHL players. You look at recent examples, guys like Oliver Wahlstrom, Kiefer Bellows, Philip Zadina, some really good goal scorers, some pure shooters that could not figure out how to play the rest of the game.
Let's be real. That was Oscar Olausen's big selling point.
Yeah.
That shot.
Little different.
I know.
You know.
That's drafted at the end of the first, not
and
the top 10.
Olausen and Bellows have that in common where they are a little bit later. But you are talking about, it is hard to teach guys to do all the other things. And with Yzerman, I think that's why I have him second, but I in this cluster of three. The goal scoring, it's just really, really, really good. And even if he becomes Alex DeBrincat, I'm good with that. That doesn't bother me.
I don't have a Ginla in my top 10, but I'm honestly comfortable with this. I just really like Berkeley Catton. I understand
Dude, he's great.
The significant shortcomings. He's small and he plays small. There's a real concerns about him getting stuck on the perimeter at the next level.
Yep.
He has a great shot too, though.
Of these three, the most dynamic. Catton is easily the most dynamic.
Most agile, for sure. The other two, you're looking at more of power forward prototypes than a guy who's going to dance his way through dudes and create in that direction.
That's why Ginla feels safe at the top of that.
Yeah.
But I have Catton right there because of the high-end skill, the puck skill in particular, the way he manipulates the puck, and the way that he can move through traffic.
Yeah.
I think that is the kind of thing that should show well at this level, but it is exciting enough. And I think Ginla and Catton have the center edge that also kind of boosts them in my eyes. So that would be the order I do. And with Ginla, it was the willingness to build more into his game and the fact that he did so effectively because he found the back of the net. Like, I think he became a more dimensional player, Ginla, that is, in this last year. And I think that's the kind of thing that is less risk and translates really well at the next level. And a lot of that, too, is accompanied by the motor that Ginla has. Like, that's just a player that has that willingness to build more into his game, that he can adapt to what the NHL path is going to need from him. And I think that's why I have him at the top. Then I have Catton next because of the high-end skill that he teases, and the Troy Terry comparisons because of the puck handling skill is too exciting to really have him go much lower than that. And then I have Yzerman because of the goal scoring, too.
Yeah.
Honestly, having the inside look yesterday that we did into who he is as a player, I feel comfortable with him being in the top 10 and just kind of I don't know where we're at. So that would be like the 9 spot.
Yeah, it would be 7, 8, 9, yeah. I have zero problems with that order, for the record. They're all very, very close for me.
Yeah, I don't have any problem going Catton, then Yzerman. That's fine.
Your call.
Yeah, so
Cole's going to make you eat your words.
We go Ginla, Catton, Yzerman.
And then we fight to the death for which defenseman gets the 10th spot.
I don't even have a defenseman there.
Well,
obviously, my 6 is there, but...
Well, the funny thing is, and I know because we talked about this off air the other day, if you're not putting a defenseman there, I think we all have Consta Hellenius right around that range.
He is right around there.
No, but I can't lie. I said it the other day. I had the big, freaking tall Russian. Not because I like him, because someone's taking him in the top 10.
Yeah, someone's going to make a mistake.
I know. I'm not saying we're going to have him in ours. I'm saying for argument's sake, I had him in mine. Right? Look, you know what I mean? For argument's sake the other day, because
Siliev is a giant human being who can skate super well for someone his size. It's
someone might make a mistake, but someone's taking him top 10. I'm not saying
the guy's a sledgehammer.
Yeah, defensively, he runs stuff over. He's gigantic. His reach defensively just makes him hard to get around generally. I just don't know that he can play hockey.
Yeah, I have one of my real concerns is that it already looks like he's struggling to process the game, and that he gets away with so much because he's gigantic and he's so mobile,
and he can skate,
that he could cheat all over the place and then recover. And I worry about that. I had this concern with Gulyev last year, but when the Avs take Gulyev at the end of the first round, it's a different conversation than talking about top 10 pick.
The one thing is, look,
I would take all these other defensemen that we've talked about over Siliev.
A 17-year-old defenseman cheating a lot in the KHL, where he's getting legitimate minutes.
If I'm San Jose, they have their second first rounder is at 14, right?
It's something like that. Yeah,
I'm begging for that guy to get to me. Because after taking Celebrini,
you can take that swing.
I'm super comfortable with Siliev, right?
Yeah.
I played against Chara. I tell you, whoa! First couple years, I'm gonna look back, look at YouTube, whoa! You're talking about Bambi? You know what I mean? It was and you're like, what? He was playing forward. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to do with him. And look at him at the end. I mean, you're talking about, and that's why I think teams are gonna get scared to let that go by. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he's Chara, but I'm saying that
Well, it has to be the hope.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're going to draft him really highly, you're going.
That's why you're doing
We
it.
want this to be Chara.
I don't want him on our list, but I can't lie. I had him on mine, right? You know, like I told you guys.
That absolutely is the conversation in the room. Is someone's going to take him?
Yeah.
I don't think it should be us.
That's fine.
Yeah. If I'm sitting in Colorado's pick at 24, and he
Well,
just
that's a way different
yeah,
conversation.
you're just like yeah, cool, whatever. You know,
Hey, someone's slipping.
Chicago at 18 is like great. That's
Yeah.
amazing, but there's absolutely no chance that guy gets there because of what Eric is talking about. There's going to be a team out there that's like, we're not going to be the team to roll this dice and have egg on our face because, this guy scores some goals in junior. I let a 6'7". I let Paul Bunyan on skates slide by me in the draft, right? Like,
Yep.
I know.
like there are way more dynamic talents that I would take ahead of Siliev, but I will on draft day I will completely understand why a team says we're doing this.
it. Yeah.
We're doing
You're
this.
gonna see, and then we should zoom on at the tables. Like you'll see, whenever somebody pulls the trigger, you'll go like people will be like, yeah. They'll be
Like,
yep,
you can understand.
yep.
He's not making it for us.
Yep. Okay. So that's the Siliev conversation. Do we want to have the Hellenius conversation?
Yeah.
I had him in the top 10.
Yep.
Where did you have him?
10.
Okay.
Also 10.
I also had him at 10.
All right.
I think he's technically my 12.
What's up with this hater over here?
Whoa,
Two spots down.
This
How
hater.
dare
I just had all these defensemen. I was juggling. You understand.
I mean, that's really close to a consensus at 10.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring
But
him
who,
up.
who,
Oh, yeah,
who
no,
are we
I won't
pushing out
argue.
right now? Hold on.
We're
Well,
It
so-
would
pushing out
be Dickinson and or
Yakimchuk.
Yakimchuk, yeah.
Yeah.
Who I had after
Or Elenius.
him. So
I mean, in
They're-
terms
it's
of
all
our
close right there.
in
yeah.
terms of our list, and not trying to be approach this in any kind of a dictatorial manner, that we have 10, 12, 10, 10 feels like we're at 10th on our list.
Yeah, he's just that guy.
Like we should have him 10th on our list.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the maturity, he plays like a bull. So smart.
The thing for me is he plays that way against men. He's proven that
Yeah.
he can do it
Hellenius?
at the pro
Yeah.
level. Yep.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of these kids who run around and in juniors and play hair on fire against their peers and maybe some smaller kids, and then they get to the pro level and some dude runs them over, and it's like, whoa. Hold on a minute here. I need to rethink maybe how I play my game. Hellenius doesn't have that problem.
Yeah. Reminds me a little of Anton Lundell. Just a really smart,
I would say more than a little.
really smart, effective two-way guy, very polished, that should have a quick path to the NHL.
Yep.
I don't know that you'll ever look at him and go, wow, what a dynamic NHL player this has turned out to be. But could go in between your second and third lines here.
If that dude caps out as your second line center, you love it.
Yeah, and if you are on a great team and he's your 3C, or you're on a good team and he's overmatched as a 2C, and you go and get a guy and he becomes your 3, like, that's okay. He ends up on the wing. I don't know. I always assume that these guys mostly are going to end up on the wings.
Yeah.
With Hellenius, I'm all about its versatility, its maturity, its polish. Again, a little bit of safety here, and that can always be, we talk about Siliev. There's nothing safe about that pick. But with Hellenius, a proven program going through the Liga, very, very, very productive in that league in his draft year. Just a really good player that does everything well.
I'm not saying he's going to be this level of player because I don't think so. But when you're looking at his path to the NHL, I think it's extremely similar to what you saw out of Mikko Rantanen at the 10th overall pick. You get him over to North America. You give him time to get adjusted to the North American game, at most one full season, and then he's playing in your NHL lineup.
Yeah, same thing with Lundell. Just a quick path.
Yep.
For you. Yeah, with Hellenius, it's going to be somebody's going to take him, and everybody's just going to kind of nod and go, "It's a good pick. It's a good player."
He's smart, low risk.
Yeah,
I like him there.
So Clip Jr. We shoot out of our top 10. Shoo. Yakimchuk. Dickinson. Hold on.
That's about it.
Well, silly. Whatever. We had a discussion.
Yeah.
yeah.
What I'm saying is, a lot of people will have him in their top 10. So
The next guy that I really would have had a strong opinion about would have been Beckett Seneca.
I was just going to ask you about that.
That's a guy that
Where does he fit with those three?
Just kept going.
Yzerman.
I wouldn't have him very far away.
There's definitely a gap there, but sure.
He got so much better as the year went on. He was really good in the postseason.
Yeah.
He was really good at the end of the year. Guys that are getting better at the end of the year are always guys that get a little draft day helium, but there's a reason for that. A lot of those guys build that into something. Guys that get worse have a really spotty track record, and
Yep.
I don't know. I think he might get drafted in the top 10 on actual draft day, and I'll go, cool, I get it. I won't throw that pick.
Yep. That's how I feel about Dickinson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. Depending on who's still there,
Right.
I may not care
just
at all by that.
depends,
Like
yeah.
if he's at 10, I'm not gonna be like,
Right.
what a terrible pick. You know, like okay, I get that.
Can I throw in an honorable mention?
You're part of the scout team, buddy.
Yeah.
But it's just because I want to say his name. He's the coolest name in the draft. Teddy Stiga. Yeah. Honorable mention.
He'll be on our.
I got no votes. All right, that's fine. He's not in our top 10.
We'll have him on our Avs draft board.
I think he makes
should fall right around there. I
a
just
lot
wanted to
more
say his
sense
name.
closer to 24 than
I
10.
know. I just wanted to say his name. Great name. Steegs. Steger. Teddy. The best.
Hockey nicknames suck a lot of the time. That's all I have to say there.
Yeah, they're unoriginal.
Any other bottom of the list guys we wanted to mention who didn't quite make the cut?
Yeah, I mean, we could just seriously run through a handful of them. You know,
At that point, we're building a list of 20. I don't want to go too far here.
but you know, we do have.
What's our job?
I do think that a guy like Liam Greentree is not that far away.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of hype for him in the top 10, which I don't understand.
There's a reason I don't have him there.
I
have him closer to the Chernyshov 16 to 25
that
range.
20-ish round.
Yeah, that's where I would have him. But that's a guy I just really like his game.
I wonder if he is the type of guy that you hate on defense. The all-around kind of does everything well, but doesn't really have a great standout strength.
He's already big.
Yeah.
And he's already a pretty strong kid. Mm-hmm. So I think
Who we at now?
Greentree.
Oh yeah.
I think you could. I mean, I think you just got to give him time.
It definitely needs to develop for sure.
He, in my favorite world of comparing him to previous prospects that I've liked, reminds me a little of Matt Boldy.
Oh, I like him.
I don't think there's as much high-end
more.
skill there.
I like Boldy more.
What was Boldy,
I
12?
get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
12 overall?
Yeah,
Boldy?
Boldy should have been like 6. That guy rocked.
Oh, man. I saw his first pro game. I was like, all right.
I would shout out Brandsteg Nygaard. He's not a top 10 guy. Should not go in the top 10 of the draft. But if you are looking for one of those guys with a faster path to the NHL, he's a guy who I think you could have a quick turnaround on if you're looking for more immediate help.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those guys this year of quality of competition.
Yep.
And where does he go from here? Like how quickly does he want to make the jump? Because him playing in the SHL is great, but where does he go from here? How much better is he getting is my concern.
I think
he could just keep getting better and better and better, and the next thing we know, he's one of the premier two-way forwards in the NHL, and that wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think his ceiling's quite that high,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to limit him. But if you're a guy picking 16 to 25, whatever, that mid to late range of the first round, and you're looking for a guy who could help you as soon as, not this coming season, but the season after, I think he's the type of player that's really easy to drop into your depth in the NHL, especially if you can get him over to play in the AHL for a year.
Like if you're Vegas
Yeah,
and you're like,
sure.
you're looking at that and you're like, we want a quick path. We want a guy that we can give an ELC to who's in the NHL a year from now.
Yep.
That's a guy that you could look and say he could help us on our fourth line, so we don't have to go spend money.
I know I've used the word low risk a couple of times already, but
Yeah.
EP has his player comp as Arturi Lehkonen, the power forward prototype.
Yeah.
It's just really easy to imagine a path to the NHL.
It's just a little too much of a reach for me. I think it's more Logan O'Connor than Arturi Lehkonen. A better shooter than Logan O'Connor, but P.S. I don't want to spoil anything, but he's a guy I was looking at for us earlier, and
Was he one of your guys?
yeah,
God.
I stole your Logan O'Connor description for him. He's a crash test dummy.
Yeah. Yeah. Accurate.
Anyway, that was our top 10 prospect
so
list.
Teddy Stiga.
You can see it in all its glory right there. It's a beautiful list, if I'm honest, Eric. Well done.
Thank you.
We do have plenty of more prospect and draft coverage coming your way, as well as free agency coverage over the next couple of weeks. But we have to wrap up today's show. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about probably more of the same, to be honest with you. So this or free agency. We appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.